Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books, right here in the live studios of Hythe, Southeast England, Kent, next to the English Channel, and on the auspicious day of Vijaya Ekadashi. We hope you're all healthy and safe and well. I today received my second vaccine, second jab as they call it here, from the Pfizer vaccine against COVID. So no reactions, everything's normal. So I feel a little special in that sense, protected. But the real protection is here. I was just reading Giriraj Swami Maharaj's new book, I'll Build You a Temple, all about his journey, adventure with Srila Prabhupada to build the Juhu temple, acquire the land and then build the temple. It's a masterpiece. I could highly recommend it to anyone. Please get this book and read it. I just read a section where Srila Prabhupada was traveling to Australia from Bombay just after making Giriraj Maharaj the temple president and in charge of the whole thing. And anyone who knows Giriraj Maharaj knows that he's not a manager exactly. He's like a simple scholar, and Prabhupada wanted him to write. From the beginning he was telling him he should write and make it his only business, which showed that Prabhupada was willing to give that kind of instruction for people who were prepared and qualified to do serious hearing and chanting and writing. And then, twist of providence, and he ended up being in charge of that huge project. And as Prabhupada was leaving, he couldn't stop from crying because, Srila Prabhupada had just the night before given a lecture where he described the separation of the 6 Goswamis from Krishna. And he got the feeling that Prabhupada was preparing us. He was talking about preparing the devotees there in Bombay for being able to actually serve in separation in reality. So we're going to hear the pastime today in Brhad Bhagavatamrta, which will fit that mood precisely. But first, let's hear the Srimad-Bhagavatamrta Stotram by Srila Sanatana Goswami, 5 prayers glorifying the Srimad-Bhagavatam, the cream of the Vedic literatures, the literary incarnation of Krishna. It goes like this: Sarva Shastabdi Piyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kalidwandodita Ditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshakshadayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bandho Matsangin Madgudo Man Mahadana Mannisdadaga Madbhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. my only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Sadhu sadhuta dayin atini chochata kada hanamun jagadachin mam premna rit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, we've heard about the Krishna's pastimes are like reoccurring, just like they reoccur in the one material universe, and as one of the pastimes stops in one universe, it starts immediately in another universe, and in another, like that. And it's constantly going on. Therefore it's called Nitya Leela. And in Goloka-Vrndavan, where Sarup or Gopakumar has now assumed his role, his identity as Sarup in the family of Radharani, of all places, of all family. And so he's now in this. In Braj, in the Goloka-Vrndavan, the same pastimes recur again and again and again and again and again. And it's kind of like Indian classical music. It's like just one theme, but then it's just elaborated and elaborated and elaborated and elaborated. It just takes you somewhere, because it's so subtle and so spiritual. So let's hear now about the pastime of Ukra taking Krishna to Mathura in Goloka-Vrndavan. We're reading starting with text 264, the 6th chapter of the second part of Brhad Bhagavatamrta. If stones, logs, and other inert objects, even from other places, hear what happened then in Braja, they cry and shatter to pieces. Commentary. We have already been told about the exceptional, ecstatic symptoms of the trees and rocks of Vrndavan, but now we are informed that such objects, even outside Krishna's abode, are devastated when they hear the pastime of Akruras taking Krishna away from Braja. Text 265. The night the residents of Gokula heard the news that Akrura had arrived, they all lamented profusely in various ways. They cried and fainted again and again. Commentary. The Brajabasis all knew who Akrura was and why he had come. Yashoda, her son, her very life, was terrified of wicked Kamsa, hiding herself and hiding Krishna by keeping him covered with her cloth. She uttered special vows for his protection. Commentary. Mother Yashoda was aware of how difficult it would be to keep Krishna hidden. Her only hope was to recite magic incantations. Text 267. When Nanda woke up in the morning, Akrura explained things and presented numerous arguments to convince him. Nanda in turn convinced his sobbing wife, and then brought Krishna outside. Commentary. Akrura reminded Nanda how wicked Kamsa was, yet assured how wicked Kamsa was, yet assured Nanda that Krishna was fully capable of dealing with the evil king. Nanda had no choice but to let Krishna go to the aid of their friends in Mathura. Text 268. The gopis watched helplessly as if Nanda were depriving them of their life heirs, and without shame cried out in agonized voices, "Alas, alas." Commentary. By sending Krishna away, Nanda Maharaj was taking away the gopis' very life. But when Nanda personally escorted Krishna out of the house to the waiting Akrura, there was nothing the gopis could do but to stare incredulously. 269. Then Yashoda came outside. Miserable, wiping the torrents of tears from her eyes, she took her son's hand and placed it in the hand of Akrura, the son of Shopalka, as if giving Krishna to him for safekeeping. Commentary. In the civil law discussed in the Manu Samhita and other Dharma Shastras, Nyasa or Nikchepa is a major topic. When a person deposits property with someone for safekeeping, the person holding the property is held gravely responsible. Anyone found guilty of betraying this trust, for example, by failing to return the property to its legitimate owner, the government should punish severely. Text 270. She then told Nanda, "I place in your hand this son more dear to me than life and wealth. Don't trust anyone. Just bring him back here to my side and return him to my hand." Commentary. In her own oblique way, Yashoda advises her husband not to place too much trust in Akrura. Text 271. Having made that agreement, the faithful wife, Yashoda, so pained by the weight of love for her son that she fainted again and again, returned without Krishna to her lonely home. A great lament then arose from the women of Braja. Commentary. Seeing Krishna about to leave, the women of Braja now lost all hope. 272. Even today, remembrance of that scene makes stones cry, tears shed tears, trees shed tears, and lightning bolts shatter. All living beings are submerged in an ocean of grief, and if they don't at once give up their lives. Text 273. Simple-hearted Yashoda told the ladies of Braja all sorts of things, trying to console them, but their minds were too immersed in the vast ocean of pain and sorrow, and so they answered her with anger. Commentary. Yashoda suggested that to the ladies that because she had turned her son Krishna over to Akrura, the son of a Muni, and to Nanda Maharaj, there was no reason to worry about him. One can assume that anything left on deposit with a saintly person is safe. I am sure that Akrura will come back soon with my husband to return Krishna to me. She was too simple-hearted to question Akrura's promise, even though she knew he could be duplicitous. Text 274. O merciless woman, devoid of sense, just see, you have offered your own calf into the hands of a tiger. This empty house is fit to burn down. How can you enter it alone? Commentary. Even a less intelligent animal like a cow would never willingly allow a tiger to take away her calf. How then could Yashoda have offered her son to Kamsa's servant? And after doing so, how could she have returned alone to a home devoid of Krishna's presence? 275. Reviling Yashoda and the others and cursing Ukra, the ladies burst out of their homes, frenzied by misery, and rushed after Lord Krishna, calling out to him and crying pitifully. Those are the seagulls. Those are not the gopis. Yeah. Little special effects. Inborn special effects, inbuilt special effects. Commentary. After Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj was next to receive the ladies' censure. They also blamed the other responsible cowherds for not objecting. Text 276. This crying, this extreme sorrow, this insufferable pain made everyone else cry as well. Ukra and Nanda, Balaram, and the cowherds, and even beloved Krishna, who had mounted Ukra's chariot. All the residents of Braja were bewildered. Text 277. After a moment, Krishna, the life and soul of the young gopis, came to his senses. He saw the gopis apparently on the verge of death, and he got down from the fine chariot to revive them. Surrounded by them and unseen by others, he went into a forest grove. 278. When Kamsa's messenger Ukra came back to himself and saw that Krishna was not on the chariot, he felt remorse for having allowed this to happen. With clever words, he then tried to win the confidence of Balarama. 279. He described how agonized were Devaki, Vasudeva, and all the Yadavas only on account of Krishna. Text 280. Lord Balaram, Krishna's older brother, the divine son of Rohini and Vasudeva, then went with his uncle Ukra to search for Krishna. By certain signs, he was able to locate the grove. Commentary. Like Krishna, Balaram is also called Vasudeva, because he is the son of Vasudeva by another wife. Ukra used Lord Balaram's inability to tolerate Vasudeva's suffering as leverage to secure Balarama's help in finding Krishna. Once Balarama agreed to bring Krishna back, it was easy to spot Krishna's footprints and follow them to the place where Krishna and the gopis had gone. Text 281. Finding Krishna surrounded by the gopis, Balarama stood at a distance, but Ukra, in a tearful voice, spoke out so that Krishna would hear these words. 282. Srimad Ukra said, "Evil Kamsa unceasingly harasses your old parents, sword held high. He is ready to kill them. Surely you should not neglect them. Your devotees so burdened by fear, by sorrow, and by pain." Commentary. Ukra is trying to impress upon Krishna that Krishna should not neglect the plight of his helpless elderly parents. There is every chance that Kamsa will kill them. They are terrified of Kamsa and sorrowful because they cannot see their son, and pained by Kamsa's slander of Krishna. And there is no time to delay. Even if Kamsa does not murder them, their own distress could kill them. Text 283. The Yadavas have no shelter but you, all in great distress, their eyes fixed upon the path for my return. They are burning in a fire of lamentation. They all live in terror of Kamsa, and so also do the demigods, brahmanas, and other exalted persons. Don't deprive them of hope. Commentary. Vasudeva and Devaki are not the only ones suffering with no hope of relief but Krishna. So too are all the members of the Yadu clan, related to him both by family ties and by devotion. They look only to him for their salvation. They are already in great anxiety because Ukra has not yet returned to Mathura with Krishna. And if Ukra returns without him, they will be devastated. By the very nature of the Yadu's pure love for Krishna, they are maharta, greatly distressed, and shokatapa, burned by sorrow. Now on top of that, they should not be hatashaha, deprived of their last hope. And besides the Yadava princes, yet others depending on Krishna to save them from Kamsa's fear include demigods like Indra, learned brahmanas like Garga, and all the cows and Vaishnavas. Text 284. Kamsa, the subduer of demigods, always brags about the strength of his own arms. He has no regard for anyone. He is constantly worshipped by demons like himself, some impotent, some very powerful, and by the rulers of men. Commentary. When Krishna fails to respond, Akrura tries to change Krishna's mood from compassion to anger. In the beginning of Akrura's statement, he refers to Kamsa merely as he, Saha. In other words, so numerous and abominable are Kamsa's bad qualities that his name is not to be mentioned. His many demon friends in Mathura help increase his influence, and they share his arrogance and other bad qualities. Powerful demonic rulers of other kingdoms like Bana and Boma also support him. Text 285. Shri Sarup said, Akrura, having said this, took blades of grass between his teeth and cried plaintively again and again. Then that person named Uncruel, who had a most brutal duty to perform, offered his obeisances to all the women of Braja, one by one. Commentary. When Krishna still didn't leave the grove, Akrura, knowing Krishna to be controlled by his dearest devotees, appealed to the gopis. He approached them with all the humility he could muster. This wasn't easy, because despite Akrura's name, taking Krishna to Mathura was the cruelest thing anyone could do to them. Text 286. Srimad Akrura said, don't be the death for the descendants of the Yadu dynasty and for all the people of the world. Please have mercy on them. Dear goddesses, Krishna's wretched parents are imprisoned by Kamsa. Please help rescue them. Commentary. Everyone is afraid. Everyone was afraid of Kamsa, including the cowherds of Braja. Were Krishna not to come soon to Mathura, the lives of many innocent peoples would be at risk, and the first to be killed might well be Vasudeva and Devaki. Therefore the gopis should be merciful by consenting to Krishna's departure and giving their blessings for an auspicious journey. Here we go. Text 287. The divine gopis said, "You great cheat, you speaker of falsehoods, you follower of Kamsa, how can those you speak of be Krishna's parents? These two boys are the sons of Nanda and Yashoda. Don't murder Gokula. Do not become a killer of women." Commentary. Why did the gopis call the son of Shopaka Muni a great cheat and liar? Because he is a follower of Kamsa. The gopis' statement that Vasudeva and Devaki cannot be Krishna's parents is correct in the sense that Vasudeva and Devaki are really his unalloyed devotees acting as his parents, roles they accept only for his service. By telling Ukra not to kill the people of Gokula, and especially not to become a killer of women, the gopis mean to say that his immediate concern should not be over Vasudeva and Devaki. The threat of their being killed lies in the future, and time enough remains for measures to prevent such a tragedy. The threat, however, that Ukra will become the direct cause of the deaths of the inhabitants of Gokula, including the cows and women, is imminent. Ukra should therefore think twice before committing these terrible sins. Text 288. Sri Srila said, when Krishna heard of wicked Kamsa's deeds, when he heard of the misery he himself had caused his own relatives, and when he saw that Balarama agreed with Ukra, he apologized to the gopis, and showing anger and sadness, left the grove. Commentary. The anger Krishna felt was directed solely at Kamsa, and the sorrow he felt was for his faultless devotees. He interpreted his elder brother's silence as a sign that Balaram accepted Ukra's proposal to take them to Madhupuri. 289. Ukra was overjoyed. With Balarama's permission, he quickly left the grove and ran to bring the chariot. When the gopis understood that Krishna was about to leave for the city, they fixed their eyes on his lotus face. In dread of the imminent fire of separation, they cried and spoke to Krishna, falling at his lotus feet. Commentary. For the gopis to address Krishna so boldly in public might have appeared audacious, but they were afraid of burning up in the fire of separation. And besides, the gopis are not the only devotees who sometimes frankly express their agony to Krishna in the presence of others. For example, in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:23-29, we hear from the wives of the Vedic Brahmanas, O Almighty One, please do not speak such cruel words. Rather, you should fulfill your promise that you always reciprocate with your devotees in kind. Now that we have attained your lotus feet, we simply wish to remain here in the forest so that we may carry upon our heads the garlands of tulsi leaves you may neglectfully kick away with your lotus feet. We are ready to give up all material relationships. The divine gopis said, O Master, we cannot live even a moment without you. We have no other shelter. Do not abandon us, your maidservants. O Lord, take us with you wherever you go. Text 292. For the sake of you, the forests have become our homes, and our homes, forests. Our enemies are friends, and our friends enemies. Poison, sweet nectar, and nectar, poison. Without you, we will die. Commentary. The gopis are sure that if Krishna refuses to accept their prayer, they will very soon die. After all, didn't Krishna turn their lives upside down? The forests were their homes because in the forests they enjoyed Krishna's company. And their homes were like an empty wilderness because Krishna wasn't there. Their rivals for Krishna's affection were actually friends because with the help of those friends, they were able to meet Krishna. And by preventing the gopis from going to Krishna, their husbands and children acted as enemies. In fact, the gopis' love for Krishna was so potent that it even transformed poisonous substances into the most palatable nectar. And for gopis eager to die in the torment of separation, poison became attractive. Nectarian things like moonlight, sandalwood paste, and nice food were like poison for the gopis because the gratification afforded by such things impeded their association with Krishna. And when they were suffering separation from him, their so-called pleasures became unbearable. Sri Narada has already explained to Gopakumar why pure love for Krishna affected the gopis in these strange ways. Text 293. How could we not die a slow death if we could no longer see you anywhere? If we could no longer see anywhere your beautiful smiling face, your all attractive lotus feet, and your chest adorned by all splendor. Commentary. When Krishna was getting ready to leave for Mathura, he suggested to the gopis, I am going to Mathura to satisfy my well-wishers there, who have no goal in life but me. Until I return, you can keep yourselves happy by hearing, chanting, and remembering my glories. This is the gopis' answer. If for any length of time the gopis cannot see Krishna's face anywhere, kutopi, either in his home or in the forest, they will surely die. Krishna might also try to excuse himself by saying that if because of him his friends in Mathura remain unhappy, his reputation will be ruined. But with kutopi construed as for whatever reason, the gopis would respond, we do not care what reason you have. If you leave us, we will die a slow death. Text 294. When you go off to the Vrndavan forest with your friends, eager to enjoy your cowherd pastures, we manage to pass our days only with difficulty by holding on to the hope that in the evening you will certainly return. Commentary. Only for at best a few hours can the gopis tolerate the pain they feel from Krishna's absence. If ever an evening were to pass without his coming home from the forest, their lives would be finished. 295. But if you go so far away on the order of wicked Kamsa to the city in the company of his friends, how shall we be able to live? Thinking of the pain you will suffer away from home and of what might happen to you, we'll be distraught with all sorts of worries. Commentary. Krishna might assert that in the big city he will be able to take care of himself with the same power he showed when he subdued Kaliya. But still he is bound to feel homesick. The gopis cannot bear to think of Krishna suffering in any way. Text 296. We cannot imagine how much trouble you will have to endure to kill Kamsa and his followers, nor how long it will take to wipe out the misery of the people of Mathura, nor can we be sure you will remember us. Commentary. Krishna might argue that because his dear cows, his young friends, and his father will accompany him to Mathura, he will not become too homesick. So here the gopis give other reasons for their distress. Conceding that to kill Kamsa and many other demons would be mere play for Krishna, the desires of all of his devotees in Mathura will take a long time to satisfy. And if Krishna were to insist that because of remembering his dear girlfriends, he could not stay away very long, the gopis would answer, "No, we are not so confident you will even remember us." Text 297. Sri Sarup said, thus the gopis uttered many pitiful laments, which made all who were present cry till their minds were lost. Commentary. All living beings reacted in this way to the gopis' complaints. Text 298. The Supreme Lord somehow steadied himself, wiping the tears from his own eyes and from the eyes of the gopis. He spoke with a voice choked with feeling. 299. The personality of Godhead said, "My enemy Kamsa is certainly weak. With no effort I shall dispose of him. Consider me practically returned to you already. My dear friends, please don't create misfortune by crying." Text 300. Sri Sarup said, then everyone hurried to that spot. Nanda and the other cowherds, and Rohini and Yashoda, and all the others, even the animals. Commentary. Everyone came to where Krishna had been hiding with the gopis, including all the members of Nanda Maharaja's household, his priests, his servants, his maidservants, and the cows, buffaloes, and other village animals. 301. Lord Hari and his elder brother mounted the chariot, which Ukra had quickly brought. With great effort, Krishna withdrew his gaze from the gopis. 302. Seeing the gopis sobbing, fainting, falling to the ground, overwhelmed and covered with dust, Yashoda also cried pitifully. Text 303. Though Nanda Maharaj was also miserable within, with great effort, he consoled Yashoda, showing seeming expertise in taking care of the business at hand. Commentary. Here the word eva, as if, indicates that even though Nanda seemed to be consoling his wife very competently, he couldn't actually get very far. Text 303. Sri Nanda said, don't think that I'm going to that city happily, or could ever accept Krishna to be someone else's son, or leave him there for any reason and come home alone, or lose my wits and allow him to stay there very long. Commentary. It is hardly for sightseeing that Nanda is eager to take Krishna to Mathura, though Mathura is the home of intimate friends like Vasudeva and maybe a great city. The real reason Nanda is going is that Kamsa ordered him, and this is hardly a cause for delight. Mathura may be the home of the Yadus, but as long as it is ruled by Kamsa, it will be a disagreeable place to visit. Akrura's assertion that Krishna is the son of Vasudeva is a lie, as far as Nanda is concerned. Krishna could never transfer his affection to anyone else. Even if Vasudeva and the Yadus were to try to keep Krishna in Mathura by force, Nanda would never return to Vrndavan without him. And even if Krishna, after killing Kamsa, were to be crowned king and want to stay in Mathura to enjoy the kingdom, Nanda would never allow that to happen. Text 305. I doubt whether we or any of the Brajvasis could live for a moment without your son. So you can take it for granted that as soon as we free Devaki and Vasudeva, I will very quickly come back with Krishna. Text 306. Sri Swarup said, thus assured again and again by Nanda's solemn vows, Mother Yashoda became peaceful, more or less. She then made a great effort to console the gopis. She tried hard to calm them in various ways and induced them to get up off the ground. When the cowherd men mounted their carts and Ukra started driving the chariot, then the cowherd men mounted their carts and Ukra started driving the chariot. Commentary. Yashoda sprinkled water on the gopis and somehow brought them to their senses. Ukra was anxious to go. 208, 308, and 309. The women of Braja couldn't tolerate even slightly being separated from Krishna. As they watched him depart, they cried, alas, alas. Their faces dried up, their steps faltered, and they sobbed pitifully in great anguish. With long, drawn-out cries, their voices choking in their throats. They ran behind the chariot, their laments filling all directions. Some of them held on to the chariot. Others forcibly fell beneath its wheels. Some fainted, and still others couldn't even go forward. Commentary. Some gopis threw themselves in front of the chariot to try to stop it, or else to kill themselves. Text 311. The cows, bulls, calves, deer, all the animals stood around the chariot, bellowing, their faces drenched with tears. 312, a commentary. Even wolves and jackals approached the chariot to join the chorus of lamenting animals. Text 312. Frantic birds flew here and there above Krishna, making a commotion, and suddenly the leaves of the planets dried up. Frantic birds flew here and there above Krishna, making a commotion, and suddenly the leaves of the plants dried up. Text 313. Stones and mighty trees fell from the tall mountains. The rivers shrank and flowed upstream, leaving their creatures high and dry. Commentary. Govardhan and other mountains threw down large stones and trees. In some places, the rivers dried up, stranding their flowers and vegetation on the land. And in other places, the rivers began to flow upstream. Text 314. Seeing his most beloved devotees in such a state churned Krishna's heart with pain and sorrow. Nothing he could do could stop their wailing, and from his own eyes he had to wipe a flood of tears. The elder Vrishni, Ukra, fearing that Krishna might jump down from the chariot and go off again somewhere, supported the Lord from behind, as if affectionately concerned that the Lord might faint and fall to the ground. Akrura had practical experience. Akrura had practical intelligence acquired from many years of service to the Vrishni rulers. Now that he was finally on the way to Mathura with Krishna, he did everything in his power to assure that nothing would go wrong. He made a show of holding Krishna, protect him from falling. But the fact was that he wanted to prevent Krishna from again running off. Text 316. Noticing that Krishna was indeed about to faint, Akrura took permission from Balarama, Nanda, and the others, cracked his whip, and vigorously made the chariot's horses set out. He quickly drove the chariot away, swerving to avoid the animals and the cowherd women who had fallen here and there. As the gopis looked on, crying woefully like kurari birds, Akrura drove off with Krishna like an eagle carrying a piece of flesh. Commentary. Akrura seemed to carry Krishna off as swiftly as an eagle flies off with its prey. And just as cruelly. 319. He drove the horses so swiftly that no one could tell where he went. Commentary. The horses were well-trained, faithful followers of Kamsa. All the cowherd men, headed by Nanda, mounted their own carts, yoked to large bulls, and quickly followed Akrura. And we'll stop there. Hare Krishna. It's a little after 8. Hare Krishna, Jai, Sri Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, Srimati Radharani, and all the gopis. Sri Brhajadam. Okay. This is extreme pathos, Karunaras. Hare Krishna.
Gopakanya Devi Dasi said, Jai Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Gopakanya Devi Dasi.
Happy Ekadashi to you and all friends. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Brhad Bhagavatam.
Jai.
Bhajimanjari said, Jai Guru Maharaj, happy to be here once again. Happy Ekadashi.
Hare Krishna Rati, Hare Bol. Happy you're here.
Saloni Sachi Sundari. Hare Krishna Maharaj, happy Ekadashi. Braj Vallabha said, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna Braj, Hare Bol.
To Srila Prabhupada. What does it mean when Krishna gets angry? Since he only acts for his devotees, how to understand?
Because he's the source of everything. Hang sarvasya prabhavo mattak sarvam pravartate itivam bhajanante buddha bhava samabhita. He's the source of everything. Everything means everything. It means everything. So there's a form of anger in the spiritual world. Just like there's everything else that's here. There's a form of it in the spiritual world. But it's different in quality. It's like a drama. It's like Krishna's, enacting this drama in order to bring out the most intense feelings of love from the Brajvasis. At the same time, it's inconceivable because it seems contradictory. At the same time, he feels angry to Kamsa for torturing his parents in Mathura. So this is all inconceivable because Mathura is eternally going on. In the spiritual world, Mathura is eternal, Vrndavan is eternal, and Dwarka is eternal. So how these pastimes are circulating is not, it's beyond our material conception. But he feels that anger simply as an impetus to protect his devotees who are in danger. Even though no one is in danger in Goloka Vrndavan. It's all in order to bring out all the transcendental feelings, transcendental emotions, transcendental rasas, relationships. That's what is life. Therefore he's called Akila Rasamrita Sindhu. He's the ocean of all rasas. And anger is one of the secondary transcendental ecstatic symptoms. Can't take it any further than that. Hare Krishna. Sorry.
Rajimanjay said, tonight we had true transcendental drama.
Yes. True transcendental drama.
Another question from Rajimanjay.
Hare Krishna, Rati.
Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances. Thank you for plunging us into all these transcendental emotions. I have a question. How should we understand Akrura's position? Could you please elaborate?
How can we understand Akrura's position? Well, like everything else, all the personalities in Krishna's pastimes are there to play a role in Krishna's awakening more and more intense love from his devotees. Akrura is a great devotee of Krishna. He's circumstantially, acting as a servant of Kamsa. It's just circumstantial. He's actually a great devotee of Krishna. But he has to pay the price. The gopis curse him. And he has to get implicated in some kind of, complication later on. He's playing a role in the drama.
From Ananda Mochi Devidasi. Gurudev, please accept my humble obeisances. O glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai Vrajadam. It is so sad moment for gopis.
Yes.
Rajimanjay said thank you.
But that sadness is not sadness. And that's what will be revealed gradually as we advance in Krishna consciousness. We'll be able to see and taste something different than just the negative side of anger or the negative side of sorrow. When we see everything in relationship to Krishna and everything in relationship to the script that Yogamaya has written in order to increase everyone's love for Krishna to the most intense possible level. then we'll taste something pleasurable. Just like when sometimes people go to dramas or go to movies that are actually horror movies, so they can get scared. Or they see about disasters or whatever, and they taste emotions from these things. So these are the original emotions. Hare Krishna.
From Vilas Manjari. Dear Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
I'm very happy to be listening live today. This section is so exciting, I had to read ahead a little to see what happens. But I won't spoil it. My question is about Krishna's age as he appears in eternal. My question is about Krishna's age as he appears in eternal Goloka-Vrndavan. Sometimes it appears like at the dinner table. He is Nanda's little boy, being hand-fed and in relation to the gopis as a youth. Does he appear as a different age according to the rasa of the devotees?
He appears differently to the devotees because of their relationship, yes. Just like even when Krishna in the Bhuma Vrndavan, in the Lila in Brahma Vrndavan, and I haven't heard this pastime in the Brhad Bhagavatamrta in Goloka-Mähätmya, but anyway, they're all there. All the pastimes are there. But when Krishna came back to visit the Brajbasis, after he killed Dantavakra and Shalva, then the residents of Braj had been to Kurukshetra during the solar eclipse, and when they went back to Braj without Krishna, Nanda couldn't face the other villagers who hadn't gone to Kurukshetra. So he, when he got to the other side of the Yamuna, he camped out there, just on the other side of the Yamuna from Mathura. So when Krishna went to kill, I think it was Dantavakra, in Mathura, when he gave him a challenge while he was fighting Shalva, Dantavakra sent him a challenge, and Krishna went there to fight him. But the real reason he went there to fight him, rather than bringing him to him, which he did with most demons, is he wanted to be close. He thought, well, if I go there, then I'll just across the river, so I can go and, and meet the Brajbasis again. So, so he did that. He went in a boat, and he blew his conch shell, and all the Brajbasis woke up and realized that Krishna was coming across the river, and when they first arrived, they all came to the river to greet him, and Mother Yashoda came out in front of all the other Brajbasis. I've forgotten the question already. I'm just going. I'm relating to something that is anyway, that happens in Gopal Champu by Jiva Goswami. And then the love of Mother Yashoda was so powerful and so deep that all the other Brajbasis, even though they loved Krishna so much, they just sat there or stood there and watched as Mother Yashoda went forward. And before Krishna could get off the boat, we went onto the boat with Krishna and put him on her lap and fed her breast to him, even though he was 100 years old. Just like he was a baby. So, I mean, we have some perverted reflection of that when yes, we'll go back to see our mother, and she just treats us like we don't know anything, like they're always telling us what to do, and because the mother tends to see the son always as her little boy. So these are the transcendental sources of all those kinds of feelings and all of those kinds of emotional exchanges and experiences that we have in the material world. These are the original sources of all those things. But there's another, in Krishna's Prakat Leela, he goes to Mathura. He appears as a baby, He actually appears as a full-blown Vishnu expansion, or full-blown Vasudeva Krishna, rather. And then he changes himself into a two-armed baby, a regular baby, to hide himself on the request of Mother Devaki, because she was afraid for his life. Even though he appeared, nobody's going to hurt Vishnu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna's pastimes are magic. If we keep hearing them, and hearing them, and hearing them, we'll taste love for Krishna. Sri Brhad Bhagavatamrta ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night. Same place, same time, same topic. De creme, de la creme, de la creme, de la creme, de la creme. Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow.